Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Ask Cap, where I make real estate easier. And today I want to talk about print advertising. So a lot of people tell me that nah, they don't want to use print. I'll just use the internet. People say that to me all the time. But if you look at it, print advertising is still alive. So it's not about where you can save money, but it's about spending smart. So if you think about your house, it's a pretty expensive item. Like if a house is worth, $600,000 or $700,000 or $1 million, it's a pretty expensive item. So as a real estate agent or for my vendors, as a vendor, it's your job or it's our job to advertise the house in the best way possible, because when you advertise the house right and you make it available everywhere to all the buyers, to all the categories, the perceived value of the house increases, and people compete, or the buyers compete on perceived value, which is what we're looking for. So it's not about saving $700 there or $1,000 there, because I understand for magazines or for newspaper, it's like $700 for a half page ad, I think, roughly, and for if you want a full page ad, that's like $1,200, which I get is expensive-ish, but people still look at it. It's not as active market, or if you look at the phone, it's not active market like this. It's not aggressive, but it's a passive market. Where they kind of absorb the material. So if you look at the internet advertising, the lifespan of internet advertising is like 14 to 28 days. So after 14, or between 14 to 28 days, or after that period, your listing is like old news. So that's your chomp. Your listing is the old news, and of course there's new listings coming to the market. Whereas with print media, it's still there. So you gotta think of the advertising and keeping your energy high, because the more energy, as I talk about in all my other videos, the more energy that is surrounding the property, the higher the price is going to be. So I think there's three phases to the advertising. Sorry about that. There's three phases to advertising, which is the database, which could be of agents and of course of the companies, which is many people. That's the first phase. Then internet is the second phase, and then I'll launch with this for sure. That's the third phase. So your energy is always staying high, and as I always say, the more energy is surrounded by the house, or surrounding the house, the better your price is going to be. But think of this magazine or the newspaper advertising. Let's say someone who's going from work to the office, and they are sitting on a Friday, on a Friday after 5 or 6 p.m., and they're sitting on their coffee table or on their couch, and they're having a cup of tea, and they open the magazine, and they're just having a look at it, and it is really nice to read. It is really nice to read. Like I would just agree with it. It's just really nice to read, and you can absorb the material a bit more nicer and slower, because as I said, it's not aggressive. It's a pretty passive market, but they absorb the material, and if they look at it, they're like, if this is a full page ad, they look at like, I really like the look of this house. I think I really like the look of this house, and it's just bit more paper. It's bit more observable, and you can absorb it a bit better. So I would not disregard it completely. I still think there's some space for it, but it's not about, as I said, saving. It's about spending smart. So I mean, I have heaps of stories like this, but a lady did come to me and tell me like, hey, we were looking for a house for like past 3 months, and we couldn't find anything, and then she did read the newspaper on it, because this is where I picked the story from. She did read the newspaper on a Friday night at, I think there was like 6 or 5 p.m., and she told me the story like, hi, I just got home from work, and I was just reading the newspaper, and I really liked the look of this house. She didn't buy the house, but she did come to the property to have a look at it. So this is what I'm saying. And those passive buyers, they do pay a good price for it, but because they haven't researched the properties around as much as the active buyer, which is the internet buyer. The passive buyer, they don't look at many properties, but when they do find the right one, just like the lady I told you about, they do come to the property and they do pay a good price. So this is what I wanted to talk about the print media. I would not disregard it completely. I still think there is a space for it, and I think we should definitely keep that in mind when we advertising an expensive item just like a house, which is hundreds and thousands of dollars. So this is what I wanted to talk about regarding print media. I'll come back with another episode of Ask Yak real soon, and thank you. Bye.